So, guys, I want to talk about Ace Austin, and I really want to mention that I don't really watch Collision because I'm just like way too busy with my life. But one thing that I've been hearing about Ace Austin is that he is actually standing out a lot. A lot of people have really liked his matches, and his match with Kyle Fletcher was really like the first singles match that they had because they made him part of the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. And then the other thing too is that I watched part of that match and I really enjoyed it. And I actually when I was watching some of TNA wrestling, or I've been to like a few of their pay-per-views, like I always kind of told myself a little bit like Ace Austin, like that's a really cool name. He has really cool glasses. Like there's something about his personality that's really gravitating. And I think they should have pushed him. And I was had that in my intuition, like saying, why is this guy the X Division champion? Why can't he kind of go to other different why can't he go to other different areas of TNA? Like why can't he be in the heavyweight division? Because TNA has also done that in the past. Like Jay Lethal should have been the TNA champion, and there's so many other ones wrestlers as well that should have been the TNA champion, like Hernandez, but they chose not to do that. So or Monty Brown, but I always felt with Ace Austin there was something really about him that clicks. And definitely, I watched some of the part of the match that he had in Texas, and I really felt that what, hey, there's something to this guy, and there are a couple of wrestlers like Bandito's another great example, and I would say with Ace Austin that my hope is that he becomes a single star, and my hope is that also to give him a match for AEW, Full Gear. Like I think that you can do Ace Austin versus Clone, which is like the evil hologram, or you could do something like he faces another member of the Don Callis family, or you look at the Death Riders and what they look at Ace Austin, they're like saying, hey, what, we maybe we need an Ace. Or you look at Don Callis and he says something like, what, Okada's going to retire the Ace, so maybe you're going to be the new Ace of professional wrestling. What about a exhibition match? And then he brings out a wrestler that could do well with Ace Austin. Like, and this is kind of like this thing with AEW that I think they have ways to tie in people that they don't take advantage of. And then the other issue with Ace Austin, in my opinion, is that he falls into that that hole with AEW, which is that he's in a faction and they overdo factions. Like so when Sammy Guevara first started, I said the same thing. Like he has personality, he stands out, but really the Chris Jericho faction ruined him. Or you look at Wardlow, like now he's in the Don Callis family when he can be a really great singles wrestler. So they overdo people in factions, and they also don't have a lot of baby faces nowadays. I really think that it's Swerve and Osprey who are injured, and then for a singles baby face, you have Hangman Adam Page, and you really don't have anybody else. There's not, there's nobody else really. So you have just one person right now that's like a single baby face, and everybody else is a baby face and a faction, or a villain, or a standalone villain. And even if you look at standalone villains, I can't think of anybody outside of MJF. And everybody else is part of a faction or a group, really. But they really need to have more like, I'm not part of a faction people type of thing, really. So I think Ace Austin can be that person, really. I just think that, and then I think the other thing about Ace Austin is that you can really show your audience something. Because you remember that picture of CM Punk, Jade Cargill, Ricky Starks, and somebody else. Maybe it's Mariah May or somebody else. But the point of it is that you can just say stuff like, "Hey, you know what? Well, you guys have taken our stars and you made them bigger deals and stuff like that. So what if we did something like we took a TNA star and we got that figured out? We take a WWE star and we get that figured out." And that's kind of like the point of professional wrestling is that it's just like a war. It's just like a one-up type of thing. So I think that if there is something to Ace Austin, you say, hey, you know what? You come to AEW and we'll make you stars, really. We don't do something like Ace Austin, waste a couple of years in AEW being part of a trios team. Maybe he wins a trios title, but then eventually he goes back to TNA, which gets him into NXT, or he gives Cody Rhodes a call and then he goes back to NXT that way, or he gets into NXT that way, really. But I really think that if there's something to Ace Austin, why not develop it?